Classic one-liners from the greatest satires. The term satire refers to a wide range of literary and cultural practices that employ irony to ridicule the vices and absurdities of human culture. From the dramas of ancient Rome to the shows of John Oliver and Stephen Colbert, it has been a staple of Western culture for millennia. Satire can take many forms, including mockery, irony, caricature, and just plain scorn. This device appears frequently in literary works like Don Quixote, Catch-22, and Animal Farm. The Borowitz Report in The New Yorker, the famous British sitcom Blackadder, and even video games like Grand Theft Auto 5 are just a few examples of how satire permeates all corners of human expression. The late, great writer Vladimir Nabokov famously stated, "Satire is a lesson, parody is a game." In most cases, this is true. Satire often contains pointed societal commentary. Satire is typically the weapon of the powerless against the strong, writes newspaper columnist and humorist Molly Ivins. The greatest satirists in history, as the following quotes demonstrate, frequently utilized satire as a weapon against those in positions of authority. Additionally, they utilized it to make fun of themselves and to criticize society at large. "I have nothing, owe a great deal, and the rest I leave to the poor." François Rabelais, in his one-sentence will. François Rabelais, a monk from the French Renaissance, wrote both racy songs and biting satire, with the latter generally taking aim at the conceit of the educated. If you want to know what God thinks about money, just look at the people he gives it to. Alexander Pope. Many influential people in Augustan England took umbrage with Alexander Pope's poetry and satire. The amount of danger he felt when walking his dogs prompted him to start carrying 2 loaded firearms. When a true genius appears in the world, you may know him by this sign, that the dunces are all in confederacy against him. Jonathan Swift. It is generally agreed that Jonathan Swift is among the best satirists to have written in the English language. Gulliver's Travels, his most well-known work, is a brilliant satire on a wide range of topics, including human nature, bureaucracy, literary genres, religious disputes, and more. If there were no God, it would be necessary to invent him. Voltaire. At the height of the French Enlightenment, Voltaire was a prolific author. The Roman Catholic Church and other prominent French institutions were frequent targets of his satire as an outspoken supporter for free speech and religious expression. Let us be grateful to the mirror for revealing to us our appearance only. Samuel Butler. One of the greatest English satirists was Samuel Butler. Errohan, an anagram of nowhere, his most well-known book, was a biting satire of Victorian society that he published under a pseudonym. The Way of All Flesh, his second masterpiece, was so scathing of Victorian hypocrisy that he didn't dare release it during his lifetime. It is no use to blame the looking glass if your face is awry. Nikolai Gogol. In literature, Nikolai Gogol was one of the first to explore surrealism and the bizarre. Meanwhile, his writings scathingly satirized governmental corruption in the Russian Empire. Fish and visitors smell after 3 days. Benjamin Franklin. Ben Franklin was influential in many ways, as a founding father, author, inventor, and thinker. Along with his intelligence, he possessed a keen sense of humor, as seen by the many satirical writings he contributed to newspapers like the Pennsylvania Gazette. Clothes make the man. Naked people have little or no influence on society. Mark Twain. Many people consider Mark Twain to be the best American humorist ever. Religious hypocrisy, political corruption, and imperialism were only a few of the targets of his sharp humor. Even when he wasn't trying to make anyone laugh, he'd enjoy engaging in a little wordplay, as in, "Familiarity breeds contempt and children." Punctuality is the virtue of the bored. Evelyn Waugh. In works like Decline and Fall and Brideshead Revisited, Evelyn Waugh mocked the English social class system with his own brand of black humor. A melancholy-looking man, he had the appearance of one who has searched for the leak in life's gaspipe with a lighted candle. P.G. Wodehouse. P.G. Wodehouse was one of the most popular humorists of the 20th century. Bertie Wooster and his butler, Jeeves, who appear in a number of his novels and short stories, were a big reason for this. Wodehouse's humor was often silly, but he wasn't afraid to make fun of parts of British culture. When I read something saying I've not done anything as good as Catch-22, I'm tempted to reply, who has? Joseph Heller. Joseph Heller may have written the best satire of war and government with Catch-22. And by doing this, he gave the English language the term Catch-22, which Merriam-Webster defines as a problem in which the only way out is blocked by something in the problem itself or by a rule. You possess all the attributes of a demagogue, a screeching, horrible voice, a perverse, cross-grained nature, and the language of the marketplace. In you all are united which is needful for governing. Aristophanes. Aristophanes, a humorous playwright from ancient Athens, made enemies of many a great person with his biting satire. His powerful mockery of well-known men led to allegations of defamation, but he persisted anyhow.